sir. Rich,
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Rich Isom. I will be your tour guide, hopefully getting you safely from stop to stop. We have Tony and Clara, who will make sure there are no stragglers. They'll have our kettle prods out, and we'll have fun. You guys are also on TV tonight, so come around. Be on TV, everybody. Really? Are we ready to go, Kevin? Ready? Okay, let's go. As we're coming up here, looking around, it's easy to forget Baldwinsville was once in the middle of a great wilderness where few people lived or traveled. Early settlers are told that even the Onondagas avoided hunting here because of evil spirits. As it turns out, the evil spirits were actually wolves that hunted the dark forest along the Seneca. To handle the threat, village founders enticed farm families to settle here with a promise of land, as long as they cleared it quickly and pushed the wilderness as far away as possible. Most times they were successful, sometimes they were not.
At night, I hear them come for me.
You can pull them all the way up here.
Their gnashing teeth and foams of froth pouring from their mouths chase me through my nightmares. All in one big cloud of claws and fur, they feed and go quiet. The farm used to be a peaceful place. At least that's what they told me. When my daddy first bought this land with nothing more than half a bushel of silver dollars to his name, he told my brother and me that we were safe, that we had finally made it and no harm would come to us here. This was before cars and whirring machines muddied the air. You stood still and listened. You could hear the splash of a beaver's tail in the creek at least a mile off. Your senses were sharper. Pain was real. More so because there were no alternatives. Mama was busy or John was mad. The cut would bleed, and the nose would run until it ran away. Nature is not what it seems in the school books and diagrams. Once it has surrounded you on all sides, fear is the only real thing there is. My brother used to say he wasn't afraid of anything he could kick. Well, that made it quite funny when he met his first porcupine. Older than me by 2 years, he had been my protector. The one who first told me about the horde. You could hear them grumble in the night, hundreds of snarfs and yowls sounding together as one like a choir from hell. They usually kept their distance, but once the harvest cleared our pasture, our house was left facing the woods. I woke the next morning to my mother's yelp as she had discovered a lamb that we had recently purchased, all twisted and mangled in the garden. The horde had made a bloody stew of where its stomach used to be. My brother began to cry, despite how old he was, but was silenced by father, who insisted that what had happened here was just a natural part of life, something to be expected, to be vigilant against. We had come out of hiding, and already we were under attack. This was grim, but nothing us Dupuis couldn't handle. Until one night, when the fear we faced became more real than a slap to the face. Father had sent John and I to take the long journey to Baldwinsville for soap and tooth powder, but due to a late start, we did not find our way back on the path until night was blue as ink, only the light of the full moon to guide our way. We were walking quickly, but there was this fear that gripped my chest. I looked ahead to John. I could see he was faring no better, his teeth chattering so that I was afraid they would crack and fall out, marking our trail like breadcrumbs. We had just passed a tree that marked halfway to home when I suddenly heard the twigs break behind us, followed by the scalp-snapping roar of the wolf pack. As we broke into a run, I could hear them gathering behind us. My lungs were screaming, my legs were burning, but I knew I had to keep up with John as he was beginning to put a distance between the two of us. I tried with all my might as our house came into view. John reached the door first, and the gate opened in a moment of pure bliss. He waited for me. I know it. That thought lasted only an instant before the door slammed shut. Heartbeats before I was able to reach it. I pounded on that door for him to let me in as I heard the pack trample through the stalks to our house. But the way my hand hit the wood, I knew my brother had his weight pressed against the door. I started to kick again and again and again until suddenly the door slams down and the world goes red. I awoke a few moments later. Father had fired a bullet into the air to scare off the wolf pack. The splinters from the door have scraped the skin on my chest, but there is more blood than that can account for. I pushed the door off me and rolled right off, and I splashed in blood. And I know what has happened before I gather the strength to look over. When I finally do see John's head, crushed like an overripe melon, blood full of hope running from his head. I don't remember much after that except screaming. We buried him in town, making sure to cross during the day. I had a dream once that he was standing over me, surfing on a door he's placed on my chest. I feel pressure like a weight you wouldn't believe, until suddenly it opens inwards. He steps right through. He visits me every night, and we walk, taking the long way home.
Now, many of you might know 19th century Baldwinsville was an abolitionist stronghold. Many townsfolk were part of the Underground Railroad. They used the Erie Canal to help runaway slaves escape to Canada. Now, fast forward 2 generations and smuggling was resumed, this time from Canada to Beeville. The cargo during the Prohibition era? Booze.
I'd like to thank you all for coming today. We all know that from my brother Frank, this was a long time coming. I would have thought it had been a lot sooner of all the craziness he did. I thought for sure we'd be here with the time he went train hopping and fell off the railroad bridge into the river down by the Dunbar Cut. The time he let off all that fireworks in the bathtub with old Jack. There was even the time that he got brained by the broadside of an oar, Kenny Fitzpatrick. Kenny and him were arguing about something, drinking, and bang, Frank's down for the count. He's got blood coming out of his ears, the whole bit. Folks said there was something about all that alcohol that it slowed his heartbeat so that when they took his pulse, they pronounced him dead at the scene. Up he goes on a stretcher and over to Gates Funeral Home, downstairs. The mortician sticks him. He lets out a shriek, scares the heck out of old man Gates and the mortician. Old man Gates thought he did it on purpose, and he said he would get even someday with us. The mortician, as I recall, enrolled in divinity school soon after. So if that wasn't a come to Jesus moment, I'm not sure. But that was Frank, always changing the lives of others. But he could never bring himself that same happiness. My wife and I, he introduced us to each other, but he could never find a match for himself. It was all the boozing he did. He always had a bottle in his hand. I remember when we were kids, he used to steal sips from our parents' liquor cabinet, make cocktails, try to water it back down, thinking they wouldn't know. But they always did. I remember saying to him, because you were so knowledgeable about the spirits, the liquid kind, that you should make a career of it. I had the fantasy of him being a big time bootlegger like all the rich folks along the canal, distributing, selling. Frank looked me right in the eye and said, why would I sell it when I can have it all for myself? Frank would drink, make mistakes, drink, forget those mistakes. Drink more, forget the forgetting. And make a whole new kind of mistake all over again. And that's what brought him here today. When they found him down by the lock, he had a bottle in his hand and a smile on his face. It took the younger Gates some time to pry that bottle from his grip. Frank would have said it was a stiff drink for a stiff. Anyway, I'm not sure other than it was his. Old man Gates wanted me to have this. He said, take a drink for Frank. Look how harmless and trivial this seems to us today, how unaffected we are by it. But it has the power to take our lives. So old man Gates said, have a drink for your brother. So I propose a toast to Frank and all that he could not do.
Cheers, Frank. Cheers, Frank.
Rest in peace.
Oh.
Occasionally get interfere beyond known and assign random meaning to things they truly do not understand. And on that rare occasion, and certainly out of dumb luck, they actually get it right.
I've always used more than my eyes to see. When I was born, there was a veil covering my face. The nurse saw it, screamed, and fainted right on the ground. I was screaming too, but it was pretty quiet. My head was underwater, after all. If you've never seen one, a veil or caul looks like a clear bag filled with dirty water plopped onto a baby's face. Many rumor that those who are born with it possess magical traits. I don't think of what I can do as magic, more as something extra real. In that moment, looking out through the water, I could see more than we are supposed to. And it took me years to understand that moment, even though I still remember it, clear as day. I looked at my father, and in that moment, he was wreathed in his natural hue, a warm golden light. The nurse on the ground was green, and the doctor, who would later be pulled into court on a murder charge, was ringed with red. It took me years to fully understand that the quality of each person's hue and the feeling it gave me was an elevated form of sight. Not foresight or hindsight, but the complete package condensed into one color. That day, looking around in my first minutes on Earth, there was one color I did not see. Being turned around to face my mother, I saw nothing around her. No hue, just drained skin and a jaw hanging slack. She had passed. I knew it, even at less than an hour old. Shrieking and crying, I came to know my terrible power. In the years after that, I have kept my ability a secret, as if anyone truly knew the extent of my sight, I would be shunned and cast out of polite society. I've been able to keep my knowledge to myself, content to be the sole companion of my father, who had the brightest, most brilliant hue of all. Until one day, where he began to change. Sneaking into the house late at night, creeping upstairs so as not to wake me, I saw his hue was tarnished. Silver splotches like an infection dotted his skin. I didn't know the source of this affliction until Darla came to live with us. Her hue pulsed a sinister gray, the one of storm clouds and gun barrels. She strode through the front door, arm in arm with my father, silver and gold. A match, but a poisonous one. We exchanged pleasantries, and I remained calm until I noticed the luggage stacked on the front porch. At that point, I began to cry and throw myself about. No, 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 how could this happen? So cruel and destructive, yet nobody knew it but I. Taking me by the wrist, Father dragged me upstairs where I was punished for my bad behavior. When I tried to plead my case, I was reminded of the secret I have kept from him all these years and got nowhere. So Darla began her reign as she lived with us, slowly asserting her dominance over the house. Once, she tied my tongue to my big toe for speaking out of turn. Such was her way. With each decree she leveled against my father and me, his affection for her grew like a cancerous mass until his hue matched hers. All the gold stripped away. Gone was his better judgment and kind nature. He stooped to her side, becoming a servant to her appetite. Darla's battleship gray aura grew stronger by the day, extending from her body in thick ropes, knotting around my neck and suffocating me whenever I was near her. It was torture to be in the same room. Whenever I would leave for fear of strangulation, I was punished severely. Nursing my welts and bruises, I devised a plan to win back my father's affections, saving not only his hue, but his life. While I made dinner that day, I made sure to add pokeweed into Darla's dish, a plant which, if ingested, leads to convulsions and loss of consciousness. So giddy was I in preparing and plating that I did not notice Darla's leering eyes. When we sat down to dinner, we said grace, with heads down and minds bent toward heaven. Digging into the meal, my glee overshadowed the clear folly in my plan. Crunching into berries, I was struck with horror. Looking over at Darla, she was filled with a knowing glee, her hue crackling with power as my life force started to shed from me like dead skin. I had been foolish, cut down by my own cunning. How can I have more sight than anyone, yet be so blind? As my life drained from me over the next few days, dying in my bed after my fatal mistake, I looked upwards and saw, with a golden glow I had never seen so brilliant, my late mother floating above me. She beckoned to me, "Come home, come home. Up here you can see forever." I can't,
It changed names many times, but ultimately burned to the ground after almost 100 years. The American Hotel dominated the Four Corners in Beeville's early days, but eventually gave into flames. And then there was the Seneca House, also at the Four Corners, which was rebuilt twice over more than 90 years, but did not outlast the third fire. The hotels may have been grand, but they were no match for fire.
Where am I? Help! 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 Oh, my love, untie me, I'm trapped. What is this place? Get me out of here.
Fret not, dear. This will all be over very soon.
What are you waiting for? Untie my hand, save me.
Oh, you'll be saved, that much is certain. But I can't undo your bonds just yet.
You did this. How could you?
All will be explained, but right now what's important is that you stay very still. Te manesto, subjectato voletare, me.
This is not you. The man I married would never do this.
That was before the Red Devil took over.
The devil? Is that why I'm tied? You should know that I have no connection to devils of any kind.
That's what Scoville and Wilkins thought before their homes burned to the ground, along with the rest of the New Upson block. But they were blind to the devil's power, one that I witnessed firsthand.
Surely, the devil's power? You can't speak like this. The fire is a natural occurrence.
There is nothing natural about what I've seen. Raging without cause or conscience, water evaporating in the hoses, steam bursting through the rubber sides. No other explanation exists than this: that the devil, in his many forms, has bounded towards me from the flames. All other explanations fall dumb to what I've witnessed.
There must be another way. What do you intend to do with me?
The demon requires a host. And if I can lure him this way with you as host, we can eradicate this disease once and for all.
What am I to become? A repository for your evil intentions? Are you saying that you have sentenced me to die?
That could be an outcome, despite my better intentions.
I'll not have it! Untie me this instant!
I'm afraid that's impossible, my love.
I'll scream!
Your voice will only carry to the wind.
Oh, darling, you are a godly man, an honest man. There are better ways to deal with magic as grim as this. If you release me, I will find you another host. Stronger, someone who is able to withstand the possession and live to tell the tale.
So what do you suggest?
There is outside of town, to the southwest, a wanderer. Some say he's from a great family that has all but abandoned him, yet he has wealth enough to live on his own and live in isolation and still feed himself. He would not be missed if he were gone. So, I will tell you how it will work. You will release me, and we will go to where he stays, and then we will capture him, and you can perform all your rituals there. It is isolated, it's far from any other farm. His absence from public life would cause no suspicion, and even if it did, there would be nothing to connect him to us.
This could work.
Yes.
You're a genius,
yes,
my love.
I knew you would see the light. I knew it.
Oh, you poor thing. The devil got to you while I wasn't looking, that much is certain. Curse to my vigilance, but you made it too obvious. That wanderer of yours has probably already fallen victim to your evil, but no matter. After you've been cleansed in the flames, I'll find him and free him as well. I'll bury you both in the hills near Spring. Farewell.
Now, in the old days, it was often considered children's people, certainly not like today. They were loved, but in the social hierarchy of the time, kids' input was not worthy of contribution, let alone consideration. The phrase "children should be seen and not heard" came from that period not so long ago.
It's hardly even morning, and she's screaming again. Huffing and stomping around, my daughter Rose is throwing a tantrum. It takes all my strength not to leap up from my bed where I was sleeping just moments ago and shake her until some sense arrives. But no. Instead, I take a breath and look over at the portrait of my dear wife, Helen. Lost to us so many years ago when Rose was only 3. She was the model of a devoted wife and mother. Her image gazing placidly back at me from under the glass, wearing that silver locket she bears now in her grave, offers cold comfort. What can I do? Tell me, what can I do? No answer. Silence. Save for the snarls of our creation, and the springs squeaking under her bed as she thrashes and rides. I don't expect Helen to answer me, inanimate as she is under the glass. But some part of me hopes, prays that someday she'll give me a sign, that she's watching and that we will be okay without her. By the time I get Rose placated, dressed, and off to the schoolhouse, my head burning for a drink. In the time since Helen's passing, I've needed the company of a stiff drink to make it through the day. So, I make my way to the tavern, but the door is locked tight. It's early. I get it. My needs differ from those of the average man. So, I make my way over to the bridge and look out over the water. Something I never do. Everything reminds me of her. The cool breeze, soft against my cheek, as delicate as her palm, gentle and knowing.
Warming your hand.
Just enjoying the morning.
Oh, it can be difficult to take in the beauty of nature when things weigh so heavy on our minds. The name's Webster.
Townsend, are you from around here?
Yes and no. I travel, but never ramble, sticking to places where I have business, potential clients, that sort of thing.
One of those traveling salesman types.
No. My trade is about offering opportunity to those who might need it, which is precisely why I've sought you out today.
And who sent you in my direction?
Oh, an old friend of yours and mine. Helen, why don't we have a drink?
I follow with hundreds of questions burning in my mind. Who is this man with the cold, hard eyes? How does he know my beloved Helen? When we arrive at the tavern, there's still time before it's about to open, so I'm going to share this information with my new companion. When he turns the handle and the door gives way to him.
The proprietor is a business associate of mine. Let's use my stock. Now, we have much to discuss. My profession, again, the reason I've sought you out, and we're speaking now, is as a middleman of sort. Times are changing, and the children of our families of means are being indulged, pampered, spoiled, and raised with expectations beyond their means and natural spot. I represent those many mill owners and businessmen here who still believe in giving the more precocious of our children an education in reality. Now, I understand that you're having problems at home.
But not problems. I wouldn't.
Allow this silver locket to serve as legitimation of my offer.
Where did you get this?
All this is, look at me, is an agreement allowing your child to be contracted for light labor after chores and schooling, teaching her it is a daughter, teaching her accountability, discipline, responsibility. All the things a mother and father together should have been able to teach her. Here, son, right there. You won't regret it.
The clock on the Seneca House tower struck, and I signed her time away. Now, I predicted that Rose would throw the tantrum to end all tantrums, that she would be upset with me, but the time of her immature peevishness was over. Little did I know what ungodly events I had just set into motion. Later, when I arrived to work, Mr. Mercer turned me away, saying that there had been an outbreak of infantile paralysis at the schoolhouse, and that my daughter, my dear Rose, had been afflicted and sent home. Oh, I ran there as quickly as I could and burst through the door. There in my hallway were some of Rose's school friends and their parents, my neighbors, congregating, wearing expressions ranging from grave concern to disdainful scorn. Well, I pushed past them and made my way up the stairs to Rose's bedroom. Slowly, I opened her door, and as I made my way to her bedside, the strength drained from my body, and I fell to my knees, weeping at the unfairness of it all. My sweet Rose lay there prone, stiff as a fence post, her eyes open and unblinking, fixed on some unseen object on the ceiling. Well, I looked around for the doctor to plead for him to save my daughter's life, but he just stood back outside the door, distant and removed. And I knew in that moment the time for pleading had passed. As nightfall, I remained grief-stricken at Rose's bedside, waiting for hope that would never come. Somewhere past the midnight hour, I accepted her silence, and I knew what must be done. This paralysis would linger, and I could not bear that. I took a pillow, and turning aside, pressed it to my sweet Rose's face. I expected her to struggle, break the silence with some gasps for a final breath. But the silence was broken by another unexpected sound. As I pulled the pillow away in shock, Rose was staring back at me, but it wasn't her. I saw shining through her eyes and on her upturned lip the cold, hard truth. These are the eyes of the cruel man that I'd signed the contract with. Well, I opened the door and searched for someone to hear, someone to bear witness, someone to come, but there was only silence. As I looked back at Rose's face, that man, gone, and taken with him my daughter's very soul. The soul that I signed away to the devil lie hidden in the details.
Road is closed. I don't want anyone to see us.
They won't. You're just being a scaredy cat. We agreed to this at the party, remember? You said you were game.
I'm cool. I just wanted to make sure that we're safe.
Oh, please. If you wanted to be safe, then you wouldn't have come with me to Whiskey Hollow.
You've heard the stories.
Of course I have.
If we find animal bones,
And we'll make a broth. What's the big deal?
I'm getting bad vibes already.
All right, how about this? How about you go collect some wood like the big strong man that you are. We can have a little fire, and after that we can... Does that sound good?
Yeah! I mean, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Leave
Who's there?
Your innocence will not last long out here, for I am coming for you. We are all coming for you.
If you think this is scary, then I'm sorry. I'm not scared. Chad, I think we need to leave.
Why? Just went and got all this wood.
I know, it's just, if we stay here, something bad will happen.
Oh, you trust me, Luce. I wouldn't let anything happen to you.
Of course I do, it's just, I heard voices.
It was probably just the wind. Help me set up this fire, and then we can go in the car.
Okay, yeah, sure. It's fine. Everything's fine. We'll be fine. We'll be okay.
Here, help me light it.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying, but it won't go.
Here, give it to me.
No, I got it.
It's my lighter.
Don't call me stupid. I know how to work a lighter.
I didn't. All I said that it was my lighter.
Implying I don't know how to use it. Real nice.
Well, the fire's not lit.
Fine. Here you go, O King of Fire.
That's the me, Lord of all things flame.
You don't need to get an attitude with me. I was just saying that
No, you tricked me. You brought me out here to get all this wood and set up this fire, and now you've changed your mind.
No, I heard voices.
Likely story. This place being haunted is total BS. Bed sheets and trees, are you kidding me?
I thought so too, but I really did hear something.
You're really pissing me off.
Just light the fire, please.
No, I won't. We can just sit here in the dark.
You fools! This is cursed ground. You have brought death unto your union. Fools! 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 Leave this place now!
Or at a very young age, would be the fourth or fifth child bestowed with the same name as deceased siblings was not uncommon. For rich or poor, the reality remained the same. The founder of Morris Pumps, William Morris, and his wife had 7 children, but only one of them survived. Just think of the heartache the families had to endure.
Let's play ghost again.
Okay.
That was a good one.
Yeah, was it scary enough?
I was.
Me too, honestly. I spooked myself.
I spooked my pants.
Ew, 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 ew. I can smell it from here.
Do you think we can make things levitate?
Wow. Let's see. Whoa.
You're so good at that. Let me try. But just in my mind. Ready?
Did you see that?
I'm a good ghost.
You are.
You're such good ghost.
Yeah. Oh, I know. If you could hunt anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, but I would love to be a museum ghost. Then I could touch everything I'm not supposed to. What about you?
Well, it'd be super fun to hunt a schoolhouse.
Teacher's pet.
Am not. Think about it. Riding on boards, turning over book bags. It's fun.
To you, because you don't know how to have a good time.
You too.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah-huh.
It's this guy Brutus. I'm it, not you.
Oh! Gotcha.
Gotcha. Hey! Not fair. It doesn't count. Liar, just two.
Nuh-uh, you touch me where I don't have anything. I don't touch you in your brain because I know you don't have one.
I fall. Sorry. Ever let me see it?
No! I want to. I can't. It's against the rules.
But we're the only ones playing, and I don't care about the rules.
I do! It's bigger than tag. Mom and Dad can't understand it. They don't know how to. But I do.
Will I ever get it?
One day. One day. Gotcha. You little brat! Get over here! Gotcha!
Windsor! Windsor! What are you doing running around like this?
I was playing golf with Jamie.
Windsor, child. Oh, take this off. Take it off. Come now, it's time for tea.
Can Jamie come too? Dropped it, Mother.
Janie's gone.
No, she's right there.
She may be there for you. She's there for me too.
Then why are you saying that she's gone?
This is hard for me too. Don't think that it isn't.
I swear to you, she's standing right there.
She's there, she's at the table. She's with me each morning when I rise. But that does not mean that I can still hold her as if she's still breathing. As if she were still mine.
I'm not getting it. I can still touch her, honest, I can. Except
what?
Don't tell. Nothing. I'll never tell.
Look at this. Sometimes, when people leave us, even with cats and dogs, they may appear to us in the present as if they are real, but they're not. She is not real.
You're not getting it. She's right there.
You shouldn't say such things. It's not healthy. And we have all agreed that the time for melancholy is over. Please be sensible.
Okay, Mother. I'll be right there.
Clean up this mess.
Yes. I'll get it.
Windsor.
No, I have to go.
Windsor. Play with me. Windsor. Don't you want to play a game?
I'm coming, Jamie. Jamie, I stuck away. You can come out now.
I'm right here.
I can't see you. Where are you?
I'm right here.
Jamie, I'm gonna play with you. Where are you? Where'd you go?
I'm right here.
The bank and the mills created wealth for more than a few families here in Baldwinsville. Imagine how fortunate to be the only daughter of a wealthy family and to be indulged with privilege and luxury. Would you be a grateful, loving, and appreciative child? Or would you be spoiled and feeling entitled? And are those who indulge able to notice what becomes of the indulged?
Hello, everybody. My name is Dolly. Wanna play with me? I like to wear pretty dresses, sing songs, and spin around in circles. Wanna see? Whee! Wasn't that fun? You try. I'll do it with you. Wouldn't want to make me angry, will you? 1, 2, 3. Whee! I said, do it with me. 1, 2, 3. Whee! People have asked me, have you always been this way? Of course not. Most of the time, I'm stiff as a board. But now, I have a story to tell. Want to hear it? Soon as I'm done, I'll slink away, quiet as a church mouse, not making a peep until someone wants to play with me again. It gets so lonely on the shelves. That's where I have to stay. if I want to do any good at all. At least, that's what Mr. Webster says. He's the one that made me, carving me out of wood and porcelain, painting my face and hands to give me the gift of life. One of the first things Mr. Webster said to me as I looked at him in wonder was, accept the love you get and keep it forever. The children who've owned me after I was sold by Mr. Webster were content to drag me around by my legs, bonking my head into every wall in their house, cracking my face. But still, each scrap of love that I could find, I took. It kept me going. But I never knew what love truly meant until I met Katie. Her parents plucked me from a toy shelf at a shop here in town and brought me directly to her bedside. Katie was surrounded by a swarm of masks and concern. Her face shined bright, even though her fever brought out the gray from underneath her skin. Welcoming me into her arms, I knew I was finally home. 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 I spent weeks by her side as nurses disappeared and were replaced. Parents were going in and out and in and out. But we spent every minute becoming closer and closer. We had the same favorite color, both loved horses and fall. I never knew it was possible to love anyone this much. And I could cherish a bond so deeply. This must be what Mr. Webster was talking about. Each night, as Katie went to sleep, this is what I would be thinking about. A time coming soon where Katie and I could be together. Forever. All I would do those nights is just stare and stare at the wall, picturing our life. The time I had to imagine kept extending further and further into the morning as Katie's condition worsened. One day, I knew I was going to help her by keeping her love with me forever. The nurses stopped coming altogether, and even Katie's parents were rarely in the room with us. Our bond was growing into a real, tangible thing, an object that you could reach out and touch. But that was not enough to save her, as it became clear that Katie was dying. The most tragic part of all is that she was the last to know it, even as her breath tightened and her eyes sank like heavy stones. One night, before Katie went to sleep, she pressed her lips up to my ear and said, "I wish we could be together. Forever." As soon as she said this, I felt something open within me, an old, ancient door, and at once, I knew the answer. There was room in my heart, enough for both of us to fit, with room to spare. In there, we could live together, forever, and ever, and ever, and